Hi everyone, welcome to another very interesting episode of Kopi with Craig. And today we are on location in the New Road area. And believe it or not, we are at a shop. As you can see in front of me, there are a lot of deities around. This is Tian Buddha shop. Okay, and welcome to the show, Ng Tze Yong.
Hello.
Welcome.
All right, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. It's very interesting, huh? So I'm a bit overwhelmed when I
Yeah.
when I came inside here, like so many statues, And by the way, just for the benefit of our viewers, right? What is the history? I mean, how long has this been a family business?
Yeah.
Tell us the origins. Yeah.
Yeah. So my family's been doing this since 1840. So we're 185 years old this year. I'm the sixth generation.
Wow.
So 1840 is in China, and then my ancestors came to Singapore in 1896. So in Singapore, we're about 130 years.
We do the math here, about 120, 130 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, cool, man. So, wow, that's a very, very long history, huh?
Yes,
So,
it is.
what I mean, your great grandfather, great grandfather, was the one who brought this knowledge with him after learning from the master in China.
So my ancestors learned it around 1840 in China, and that's when the skills and the trade entered my family, and we've been doing that since that time. I'm the sixth generation apprentice. So sometime around 1896, my great-grandfather migrated from China to Singapore and set up an overseas branch of the family business.
Wow, very enterprising, set up a branch,
Yes, enterprising, but I think also in that time, China was going through a lot. The Qing dynasty was on the decline.
Oh,
there
yes.
was warfare, famine. People were looking for jobs, and they took a chance to come here, and I say that because it's also a very personal thing to me. I learned about this in primary school, secondary school, national education,
Right.
But when I read about my own family history, I see the pictures and I try to imagine, well, what it's like, 18 years old, 19 years old, you take a boat, 1 month journey
come
from
over to
China.
Nanyang.
Yeah, and you may not know what Nanyang looks like, You
Yeah.
may not have money to go back. You may die on the way. And what was I doing when I was 19? I was just doing NS. I went overseas to study, but that was with a scholarship and with internet and all of that.
Yeah.
But the kind of guts that they had. And I think this is common to everybody, all Singaporeans, regardless whether you're Chinese or Malay or
we were a land of migrants, right?
Yeah. So it's just to remember that part, and so today when I'm apprenticing at the shop and helping to take over, this is one of the sources of the motivation, when things get hard. I remember, wow, this was nothing compared.
Right. I mean, yeah, but there was a sense of adventure also, although there's a lot, as you said, like question mark, uncertainty, right? I mean, you have the sense of spirit of adventure, to come over to the unknown, and then whether you'll make it, whether you even survive the journey.
Yeah.
I mean, the spirit of gung-ho-ness, if there's such a word even,
Yes.
that those people in those days had, because a lot of it was born out of necessity, right?
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah.
But just to digress a little bit, right? So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself right now? Are you doing this full-time in this business?
So I spend 1 day a week at the shop apprenticing and learning the craft from my grandmother. She's 94, and my dad. And I have a day job 4 days a week. I work at a foundation, and 1 day a week I come here and learning the craft. But on my weekends, on my weekday nights, I have to think about the business innovation part. You see, because the 1 day is to learn the skills. It's a preservation.
Correct. I mean, it would be a pity if this legacy is gone. I mean, it's a family tradition, and
because it's an ancient craft, and I'm not a religious Taoist. So there's kind of two things. There's Daojia, there's Daojiao, and there's Daojia. Okay, Daojiao is religious Taoism. Daojia is philosophical Taoism.
Oh,
right. So I'm more of the latter, which means that my relationship with Taoism is almost like a life philosophy. So it's like Stoicism. Is you learn about the values, a lot of concepts. You may not necessarily have to practice the rituals, but it's still a very big part of your life. So philosophical Taoism.
learn something new today.
Yeah.
Wow, philosophical Taoism and
religious
religious
Taoism.
Taoism. So you may not be involved in all the rituals, but
Mm.
from the philosophical standpoint, that's you're more in that sense. You embrace a bit more of that
Yes.
that part of the thing.
Yes, and I think that is what so that's why when I look at the statues, I see the stories. These are not only statues; they are stories. These are characters from ancient literature, philosophy, history.
Yeah, the history is very rich, right? I mean, it
Yes.
runs to thousands of years, right? From so many dynasties
Yeah.
until the present day. Yeah,
Correct.
and it should be preserved. I mean, I think it should be preserved, please.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, and thank you for doing that. That you want to preserve preserve part of this. It's part of our culture, you know.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
And I mean, the reason why these are stories, I mean, they're very powerful stories. There's a reason why they've been passed down over thousands of years, because they are characters that symbolize a timeless value, whether it's integrity, compassion, courage, you know, these are things that continue to be relevant in our lives today. Perhaps even more so, you know, with technology and modernization and all the things about modern world.
Right. So, I mean, what about? I mean, you said you studied overseas. You did you know, what was your course of study and what have you done before you decided to come back to the family business?
I did something very different. My undergrad was in international relations and Middle East studies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Then I studied Arabic for a few years.
You studied Arabic?
Yeah,
wow.
I actually did my A-levels.
Do you speak Arabic?
I used to. I don't think I speak very much of it anymore.
But you can still understand when it's being spoken?
Parts of it lah. And the reason for that is because I started school in the US 2 weeks before 9/11. So the next 4 years was just the Bush years, Osama. So I kind of got really interested in all of that and did my undergrad in that. I did my master's several years later in design and business innovation, and I tried to make this a part of my final year project as well.
Wow. Earlier on, you mentioned you were even a journalist for a while or something?
Yes. So after I came back from the US, with my degree, I spent 6 years at Singapore Press Holdings as a journalist. So I covered politics, heritage, crime, sapalang stuff, right? As a journalist. Then when I left, I did a master's in design and business innovation with the Parsons School of Design. That's where they film Project Runway. It's a school in New York. And for the final year project, we had to choose like a business innovation case study, right? And instead of choosing Amazon, Uber, Airbnb, the usual suspects, I decided to choose my Ama's shop.
Wow, that is so cool, man.
Yeah. So it was a way for me to merge my work and my professional life together, right? To say, okay, now I have 1 year where I can really think about this while also fulfilling my master's requirements. So how do you innovate this shop for the 21st century and beyond? So I had 1 year to think about it. And out of that came some interesting projects. We started to do tours here, put it out on Airbnb, Klook, Singapore Airlines for a few years. And it was quite interesting. Saturday afternoons,
so you do conduct a tour for people who come to the shop to understand and then do the demonstration and how you paint and all these kind of things.
Yes, and the legends and the crafts. So it's about crafts, it's about heritage. And the thing that was interesting for us was that I expected 80% tourists, 20% Singaporeans. Ended up it was a reverse. Because
so there is that element of curiosity, perhaps, for many people. And sometimes, just as you say, the percentage, right, was flipped around, right? That tourists may be more interested, but actually, there's a lot. Maybe I don't know if that's the right word to use. Pent up demand, you know, for people because it's a very niche kind of thing, right? And it's not even bothering on religion or whatever, but just curiosity and then wanting to know about our Chinese culture and things. And I think that's a wonderful thing. So, how long is the tour usually?
The tour is 2 hours, and we just advertise on social media. It's not a big part of our work, but when there are sign-ups, we'll just run it. So the tourists. So when we did it, then my Amma would be very curious, right? Because she doesn't understand the concept of an app.
Of course. She's 90 what again?
She's 94 this year.
And she's still very fit, I'm sure.
For 94-year-old, she's quite fit, but her eyesight is failing. So she will ask me, how come got all these people appear at our doorstep Like today, like they take bus here together, that they know each other.
Oh,
So I'll show her the
oh,
Airbnb app and say, oh, they sign up through this app.
I see, I
今
see,
天
I
有一
see.
个是英国的，一个是美国的，then 其他是新加坡人的
Oh,
then she'll be very tickled that the fact that people will want to come here to see the shop, because in her mind, this is not heritage, you see. This is just a way to put food on the table to raise a
right,
family.
right.
And because heritage is externally imposed, or something that's gifted to you. You're anointed a heritage business
Right.
as a factor, as a result of the environment.
Mm.
So let's say you are a stick shift driver. You know how to drive manual car.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe 20 years from now, every car is an automated car. But you know how to drive stick shift, check blind spot, parallel parking. Then suddenly you're a craftsman, you know. Wow, you are a heritage strip because you know how to do that. So
Right.
in your mind, you haven't done anything different. But suddenly your place has changed in society. And that was what my grandma, I think, like kind of discovered in her own way. And through the Airbnb tour, she kind of like came into this role of a teacher and just guiding.
Right.
And I think it was something beautiful to bring into her life at that late stage.
Right. I mean, I think it's fantastic and wonderful that you have. Do you have any siblings, by the way?
Yeah, I have a younger brother, so
Oh,
both
you-
of us are working on the business. He does more of the operational back end administrative stuff, which is really important in keeping a business like this going.
Right. So at least it's good that you and your brother. What's his name, by the way?
志聪
Zicong.
志聪
Okay, Zicong. Okay, so it's good that you and Zicong have decided to carry the mantle and
Yeah.
make you preserve this for future generations of Singaporeans to learn more about the rich history, culture, and heritage of this kind of. Well, it's based on religion partly, but today I found out that there's a philosophical to
Yes.
Taoism as well, and I think that is so super cool. So when you all learn this thing, is it like your great or your great grandfather? Is he pass it on to his children? Then your great grandfather pass it on to your ama. Then your ama pass it on to your dad. And now your dad is trying to pass it on to you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
So-
6 generations, that's quite amazing, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it also speaks about the resilience of this business in a way, because religion, you need it in good times and bad.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Economy can go up and down. There can be war, and sometimes even in times of hardship, people look to the gods even more. You see.
Right. I mean, depending on whatever your religious inclination,
Yeah.
I respect all religions. I respect all religions, and yeah, you're right. In good times, you need religion. In bad times, you need your religion or your God for some blessings.
Yeah,
even more, right?
Yes.
In that sense. So, I mean, like, okay, it's great that you and your brother are both trying to preserve and do the business and make sure it's preserved for future generations. So, what is the challenge for you and your brother right now, trying to preserve all this culture and heritage?
So I spoke about the resilience of this business, right? The surprising resilience. So the problem is not on the demand side. The problem is a supply side. So
Supply side.
Yeah, in terms of the skills, the manpower, people like myself. See? So when we think about heritage, we often think that, oh, there's no demand, so we need to change the product, whether is it food or anything, right? We feel like we need to innovate there. Actually, I don't see that as the main problem. The problem is the skills transfer, the knowledge transfer.
Yes.
And having a career pathway and on-ramp, so-called, for young blood to take this on as a career. It's not about a hobby coming to do a workshop. You have to dedicate yourself and arrive at mastery. Mastery means precision in your craft, so that it gets you up to that standard and the quality beyond a hobbyist, you see.
Right.
But it also means speed. Because if I'm going to take six months to make this statue, right, then that's my income for 6 months.
摊不价,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you
yeah,
need
yeah.
precision and speed.
So the quality
it's
must
all
be
on the supply
maintained and the consistency as well, lah.
And also authenticity. So there's a lot of shortcuts that you can take. You can do machine, you can
Right.
take a lot of shortcuts. But if you say you are a craftsman, you're heritage, there are certain things that you need to stick to, even in the face of temptations to do a faster, shorter way.
I'm just curious. A lot of these figurines, are they made by hand or
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, so they're all made by hand. From from this stage. In a way, you can see from this part all the way from this stage all the way to this stage. It's made from a block of wood, carved out, and then in this stage we apply the relief motifs. These are all the details that you see on the ropes of the statue. This is the early Qing dynasty technique called thread sculpture. In China, it's a national intangible cultural heritage. President Putin has a vase apparently that is decorated with this technique, because in China they use this technique to make gifts for visiting dignitaries.
Oh, wow.
So this is made using joss stick ash.
Oh,
yeah. So the idea is that when you light an incense and the smoke takes the words in your heart up to the heavens, the ash falls and we collect it, turn it into a dough, beat it into a thread, and then we coil and twirl it to make the dragons, the flowers, and the clouds.
Wow, that takes a lot of skill to do these kind of things.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
So you also know how to carve, and you know how to paint, you know how to. Wow, it's a lifelong.
Yeah, I'm still learning. I haven't learned the full trade yet. But hopefully I'll get there.
No, I'm sure you are. I mean, it's part of your family business as well, you know, besides preserving. I mean, at the end of the day, for family-run businesses, right, there's always this challenge. Here you are, you know, like sometimes, right, I know of some kids, right, when they when they were younger, and then their parents were hawkers, right?
Yeah.
And then they want to go and learn. Then the mother and father, no, please. This is a very hard life, you know, being a hawker. Why don't you just go and study, get your degree, and then work in a bank, work in an office, or don't have to do. So sometimes there's a bit of a dilemma.
Yeah. It's similar for me in the sense that there was never any pressure to join the shop. I grew up in the shop, you know, doing my homework by the drain on a little table. But there was no pressure at all to join the business. It was more kind of self-driven from me over many years. And it's not an easy decision. But you know, at some point it's your family's history. Your family story is part of your story, you know.
Right.
It will always be there. Whether you do something to it or not, it's not a question. It is there. So it's how you respond to it. And for me, the decision, the barrier was like, you know, when you join a family business, it's like, oh, then there's no U-turn. Right.
Yeah.
You can't
it's like part of a sense of obligation, is it?
Yeah. And it's like the end of your career, right? So this is some of the questions that I had to reconcile and think about. And it took me several years, baby steps, until here I am, 1 day a week.
Yeah,
and you know, helping. I'm hoping that we can preserve this shop for another 100 years. And what that means is that beyond my generation. So what I'm thinking about is not like a 5-year plan. I'm thinking like 30 years, because 30 years is when I probably will be happily retired. But what is that future like where I'm not here, my children may not be in this business, and how do we sustain this?
So you mentioned about passing on to the next generation. So you are married, right?
Yep.
So children?
Yeah, so I have 2 daughters, 15 and 13, and you know they're more interested in K-pop and F1 compared
I would
to
imagine.
craft. Yes.
I would imagine. Yeah. But I'm sure they have been to the shop and since they were babies, right, and things like that.
Yes, and during the Airbnb tour, I try to involve them in the shop. So Airbnb tours, I would write a little script for them, and there'll be a segment where they give like a 5-minute presentation about their akong and their atso coming from China to Singapore.
And yes, good. That's a good way to induct them into the family business. So at least they're involved. By the way, the tour is conducted in
English.
What?
In English.
Wow, okay, it's good. And you know me, the jiak antang one, you know, those
I'm also jiak antang. In fact, I'm a banana. I got C6 for my A-level higher Chinese. So it's very ironic that here I am doing this. But I think that is a bit of a strength as well now, because now I know what is most people are like me. You know, there's only a small proportion who grew up in temples and know these things like second nature. Most people, including overseas customers, are like me. They're interested, but they don't speak Chinese very well. They have some misconceptions. So that's where we are building we are the bridge, the East-West bridge, you see. Just as Singapore is always the East-West bridge, our family shop is a cultural East-West bridge among this ancient culture and our customers in Singapore, Southeast Asia, and also in Europe.
You know, just now you mentioned about your brother and you, right, in this business, right? Are you guys like, can this be done by 3D printing, the figurines?
It can. It can be made with 3D printing. It can be made with stone, with metal,
Right.
with
But 3D printing, it'll be like quite cool, right? I mean, the features, all this will be sharp, right? You just have to maybe, after it's printing, then you got to like touch up here, touch up there to make it smooth or whatever.
Yes. So making a statue can be you can make it in many different ways. You don't even need to make a physical statue. It can be a painting like the altar behind me, you see. So the question for us is, what is a choice? What do you say no to, and why do you say yes to the things that you say yes to? So for us, what we say yes to is carving the statues by hand with wood. Right.
With wood.
With wood.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because number one, that's a traditional method, because wood was a very accessible material.
Yes.
You just chop down a tree, you got a wood. It's free and it's easy to work with. Also, importantly, is an organic material. So when you talk about the philosophy of Daoism, right, it's about harmony with nature. And the religious customers talk about how the worship experience is different when you are worshipping to a statue that is made of organic material. The qi, the exchange of the qi in their view is different compared to, say, working with something that's made of resin, like man-made material, you see.
Okay. So there's some significance why you use organic or natural material as opposed to maybe using a 3D. May not be truly representative.
3D is also possible. It's just whether what the market wants. So there will be people who will want the 3D statues. There are people who don't want it. For us as a business, where is our niche? So our niche and our strength is not in 3D printing, right? Our niche is actually here. We have skills and knowledge that is where the bar is higher, where it's harder for competitors to come in here. 3D printing will be no man's land. We can't deal with, we can't compete with the tech companies who want to really
but they won't probably get into these sort of things. But I'm just wondering, like, if you do 3D printing, right, a certain consistency and quality is there, but then again, whether it is what's the word to use? Maybe the essence of it, because material is different, is it?
Yes.
And things like this. So for the purists, that one, cannot make it, cannot, this resin thing, must actually use wood or stone or something.
Yes.
I mean,
because when you use modern materials, the sacrifice that you will make as a business is that you're giving up the craft label.
Right.
And that's a very important label, because in today's world, craft is scarcity. Right. And if you can say that you do craft, and then that elevates your business. When you think about some of the luxury brands today, like Hermes, LV, a lot of them were actually craft businesses 100 years ago. They made saddlery, leather, and then they're now trying to bring back that past to say that, even like watchmaking. Say, it's about craft and the human ingenuity and all that. So that's the space that we want to, where I think we have a competitive advantage.
Right. So probably you can demarcate 3D printing one a bit more affordable and those who have the budget, right, then everything done by hand. You got to pay a premium for it, But to the by and large, most people who don't understand, right, because you see, it's always a challenge trying to balance between running a business, making it profitable, because any business has to be profitable. It cannot be doing the business and bleeding, It's not sustainable, right? In that sense, you see. Interesting. So at least it's good that you are involving your two teenage daughters in some way. Is your brother married too, with kids? He's not married. Okay, at least you have two daughters. So there's someone to carry on the tradition.
I'm not banking on that. Because the odds are not high, right? And so the business continuity plan, right, cannot be dependent on the next generation. In my view, it's ideal, but if you do that, every 30 years, every generation, you have an existential crisis,
Yes.
Or is the second son or the third son going to take over? Hope and pray, because the whole business rests on that.
Right.
And also the pressure on this person is immense. You see, I came into it willingly, but it may not be the same for other generations.
Correct. Understand.
So I think it's about having a blend where the business can still continue through professional stuff, but maybe you have family ownership. And it is still an invitation. You can get involved as and when, in whatever way you are comfortable with, but the business can still continue. It will still be a family business. Family-owned business.
Family-owned business, but you might engage people from outside of their family to to continue with the business or making it viable.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so you have mentioned about your history, what you have done. You were even a journalist for a while. And how you made that transition from family, and then eventually and now you are introducing your daughters. Whether that is their call. I mean, I think it was very good that your father. I mean, in the sense, you see, he never forced you. So it's like, there's that saying, right? You can force the horse to the water, or whatever, but you cannot force the horse to drink the water, right?
Correct.
Sometimes the resistance is there, but because he didn't do that, so maybe for yourself, one day a light bulb went on in the head. Like, hey, how grandma is at this age, dad is also not getting any younger. You want to continue this, so you decided, and you found something that you are doing that allows you to borrow a phrase, have your cake and eat it at the same time, in the sense. And I think that's a wonderful thing. And you also talk about family tradition and maintaining this business, maybe even getting professionals to come in and turn this thing around. And at least I think it's in good hands with you and your younger brother involved in this business. Now, just to go into another area, because you talk about religious significance and things like this. Right? I mean, I have heard of the younger generation whose parents or grandparents are still practicing the faith, And I've heard of instances whereby they embrace another religion. Maybe they join a Christian church or something like this, right? And I've heard about instances whereby they are told to destroy the figurines of the deities. And it was very upsetting for the parents or even the grandparents who are still practicing the faith. So I'm not passing judgment. I'm just wondering, in such a situation, right? In such a situation, based on your knowledge, right? What would you recommend that instead of destroying, right? What is the preferred way that because they don't believe, they have embraced a new religion. What do you suggest they do?
They can bring it to a temple and then just seek advice in a very respectful way, and just let the temple take care of it. There's no need to go all destructive on.
Oh yeah. I mean, correct. Because I mean, I would imagine it's very upsetting for the parents or even grandparents, to see something that they have been practicing or to the faith for so many years, right? And just because they have embraced a new religion, you don't have to be destructive, because all religions should be respected, and especially if the parents and grandparents are still practicing the faith, and things like this.
And it is also when we think about the pioneer generation, right? And we always say that pioneer generation is very resilient. Well, they were. It's not like they were born resilient. You see, for a lot of them, their resilience came from the gods that they prayed to, and being in that place and that time in history, the gods that they encountered were, Chinese folk religion, Buddhism, Taoism. It was just what they were surrounded with. And that's where they drew the strength, So I talk about the timeless values like compassion, mercy, integrity in the face of adversity, courage. That's where I think they drew, for a big part of them, their resilience from. And I think I think it's important to honor that,
So we're going to wrap up shortly. So if people want to come for your tour, where do they go and register? What is the link?
So you just go to our website, citianheng.com, and there's an events tab. And just sign up there.
Okay. Yeah. So what happens is that I think you did mention to me earlier that you even export some of your figurines or of the deities overseas, right? Yeah. So where are the more interesting places you have sent, or the furthest you have sent from Singapore?
So we've sent statues to customers in France, Belgium, Spain, England, and these are individuals. They are Europeans who are interested in Daoism. Some of them are also worshipping.
They practice the faith, is it? Okay.
So they find us through YouTube, Reddit, Facebook, and I think what they find in us is this East-West bridge. Because they want to learn, but they cannot read Chinese, right? And also, I think the Singapore brand counts for something: the quality, the assurance, the trust. And I think Europeans are also very appreciative of craft, because they're surrounded by culture, over hundreds of years, and because of the colonial past, they're also somewhat familiar with things from the East. So that's the kind of space that we want to increasingly move into.
Yeah. I think you should. It's very niche, but then if there's demand for that, that will help to generate more business for you, Tze Yong. So okay, that's a wonderful thing, and And I just hope that this business will continue for the next 100 or even 200 years, okay? But then
Thank you.
we do not know where we are. We are not going to live that long anyway. So just before we wrap up, you have these few statues here. Can you just tell me who they are and who they represent or what they?
Yep. So these are 4 statues, and in a way, it shows the sequence of how it is made,
how it's evolved, huh?
how it is crafted, So you can see from this side all the way to the final stage.
So that one is a bit not so colorful. And this one, the details are very good. This is super colorful. And who are they? These deities?
So this is Xuan Wu. He is the personification of the northern celestial quadrant. This is a marshal, usually to represent your ancestors. This is Guan Gong, who is one of the key characters in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, 14th century Chinese novel.
He's always has the serious face on, right?
Yes, correct. But he's not completed yet because he doesn't have a beard. He has a very long beard.
Yeah. Usually, Guan Gong has, and then he's holding like a lance or
a green dragon crescent blade. So that's not fixed yet as well. So this is not completed.
Oh, this is a work in progress.
This one is completed, and this statue is actually the same as this statue.
Oh.
So this is before, and this is after.
Wow. Okay, cool. So with so many deities, right, it can be quite overwhelming. And so your dad and especially your grandmother, right, who has that knowledge, right, what color to use, how to paint, and it's very intricate and it's quite amazing. So there you have it, folks. We have come to the end of the interview, and I'd like to say thank you to Tze Yong for sharing all these wonderful things with us today. And remember, I go to their website. What was the website again?
seitianheng.com.
Seitianheng, right?
Yeah, HNG.
seitianheng.com. And if you want to come for a guided tour, which is 2 hours duration, what's the fee?
$35.
Oh, $35. So you can come if you have a tourist friend who may be interested, and even you have Ang Mo friends, right, who wants to order. You see, you send to Belgium, France, all over the world. So that's quite an amazing thing. So we have come again, as I said, to the end, and we'd like to thank Tze Yong for giving us this precious time to share with us about a tradition that is altogether, you were saying how many years again?
185.
185 years. That is so amazing. So bye people, till the next time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Kopi with Craig for this particular episode for Seitianheng Buddha Shop along Neil Road. Bye-bye.